Hollywood is full of beloved stars, but not everyone in Tinseltown has earned the public's love. Some actors have done things so bad they're remembered for all the wrong reasons. Here are the 25 most hated stars in Hollywood history. Number 1. Roman Palansky. Roman Palansky was most hated in Hollywood primarily due to his criminal actions and the resulting ethical and legal controversies. While he is celebrated for his cinematic achievements, such as Rosemary's Baby and Chinatown, his personal life, particularly his conviction, caused widespread outrage and condemnation, overshadowing his work. In March 1977, Palansky was arrested for the case you many have already heard about. Palansky was charged with several serious felonies that I cannot mention here. This scandal rocked Hollywood and shocked the public due to the egregious nature of crime. After initially agreeing to a plea bargain and pleading guilty to his crimes, Palansky fled the United States in 1978 before his sentencing. This act of evasion led to him being seen as a fugitive from justice, further enraging the public and tarnishing his reputation. Another reason many people hated him because he did not left working in Hollywood. He continued to work internationally and received significant acclaim for films like The Pianist in 2002, for which he won an Academy Award. This success angered many as it was seen as Hollywood forgiving or ignoring his actions. His ability to thrive professionally while evading punishment fueled perceptions of elitism and injustice. Number 2. Wallace Beery. Wallace Beery was one of Hollywood's most abusive and violent figures, both on and off the set. While he was a successful actor, known for films like The Champ and Grand Hotel, his reputation was deeply tainted by his behavior. Beery was notorious for clashing with co-stars and creating hostile work environments. One of the most infamous incidents occurred during the filming of Slave Ship, 1937. Beery slapped 16-year-old Mickey Rooney so hard that Rooney was knocked to the floor, leaving the crew outraged. This wasn't an isolated case. He was known to mistreat younger actors and bully colleagues. Off-screen, Beery's personal life was equally disturbing. His wives publicly accused him of physical abuse, and their allegations only cemented his reputation as a violent man. While his talent earned him roles, Wallace Beery's cruelty and hostility made him one of the most despised stars in Hollywood. Number 3. Joan Crawford. Joan Crawford was one of the most talented actresses of Hollywood's golden age, but she was also one of the most hated figures in the industry. Known for her roles in Mildred Pierce, Grand Hotel, and Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, Crawford's perfectionism and controlling nature made her a nightmare to work with. On set, she demanded absolute control over her image and performances, clashing with directors, producers, and co-stars. Her obsession with order and cleanliness often pushed her to extremes, creating tension wherever she went. Her infamous feud with Bette Davis during the filming of Whatever Happened to Baby Jane only solidified her reputation. The two actresses openly sabotaged each other, turning their set into a battleground of pettiness and hostility. While Davis voiced her disdain publicly, many quietly agreed that Crawford's domineering attitude made her insufferable. Off-screen, her personal life was just as controversial. She was married 4 times, with each relationship ending in conflict. The most damaging blow to her image came from her adopted daughter, Christina Crawford, who exposed Joan's abusive and manipulative nature in the memoir Mommy Dearest. The book described shocking incidents of physical and emotional abuse, shattering Joan's glamorous persona. Despite her success, Joan Crawford's controlling behavior, infamous feuds, and abusive personal life earned her a reputation as one of the most polarizing and disliked figures in Hollywood history. Number 4. Bette Davis. Bette Davis was a Hollywood legend, but her fierce independence and sharp-tongued personality made her one of the most hated figures in the industry. Known for iconic roles in All About Eve and Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, Davis constantly fought with studios and directors for better roles, refusing to settle for less. While this determination earned her respect, it also made her polarizing and difficult to work with. Her infamous feud with Joan Crawford during the filming of Whatever Happened to Baby Jane became the stuff of Hollywood legend. The two actresses clashed both on and off set, fueling rumors of pranks and outright sabotage. Davis reportedly mocked Crawford's insecurities, while Crawford retaliated by making life miserable during filming. Their bitter rivalry cemented Bette's reputation as someone who thrived on conflict, even at the expense of a harmonious workplace. Davis's demanding nature didn't stop with rivals. On set, her perfectionism and high expectations alienated co-stars and crew members. She didn't hesitate to call out colleagues who failed to meet her standards, and her blunt approach often caused tension. While her talent was undeniable, Bette Davis's strong-willed personality, clashes with Hollywood elites, and relentless pursuit of excellence earned her a reputation as one of the most difficult and disliked stars in classic Hollywood. Number 5. Errol Flynn. Errol Flynn, once the swashbuckling heartthrob of Hollywood, was equally known for his wild personal life as for his on-screen charisma. Star of classics like The Adventures of Robin Hood, Flynn's hedonistic lifestyle, heavy drinking, and womanizing behavior made him one of the most notorious figures of his time. The scandal that defined his downfall came in 1942, when Flynn was charged with statutory misconduct. Although he was eventually acquitted, the trial shocked Hollywood and damaged his reputation irreparably. Many people started hating him. For many, Flynn's carefree and reckless persona off-screen suddenly became a symbol of moral decay in an industry already under scrutiny. Beyond the courtroom, Flynn's private life only added fuel to the fire. Known for his extravagant habits, endless parties, and carousing, he earned a reputation as a libertine. His memoir, My Wicked, Wicked Ways, published after his death, revealed even more about his indulgent lifestyle and unapologetic behavior, further tarnishing his image. Flynn's actions didn't sit well with audiences or Hollywood's moral standards at the time. Despite his charm and undeniable talent, his scandals and debauchery overshadowed his career, earning him a place as one of the most hated and controversial stars of classic Hollywood. Number 6. Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando, though considered one of the greatest actors of all time, was also hated for his erratic and difficult behavior. Known for roles in On the Waterfront and The Godfather, Brando's on-set antics caused significant issues. During the filming of Apocalypse Now, Brando arrived overweight and unprepared, delaying production and frustrating director Francis Ford Coppola. His controversial treatment of co-star Maria Schneider in Last Tango in Paris raised serious ethical concerns, as Schneider later revealed feeling violated during filming. Brando's personal life was equally turbulent. His neglectful relationships with his children and tumultuous romances were widely publicized, adding to his negative image. Despite his brilliance, Brando's behavior off-screen left him with a reputation as one of Hollywood's most polarizing and disliked stars. Number 7. Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra, a legendary singer and actor, was as polarizing as he was talented. Known for films like From Here to Eternity, Sinatra's fiery temper and aggressive behavior often overshadowed his success. He was notorious for explosive outbursts, lashing out at reporters, photographers, and even colleagues. Sinatra's affairs and infidelities further tarnished his image, as his marriages were riddled with scandal and betrayal. What truly divided public opinion was his alleged ties to organized crime. Sinatra's friendships with mobsters like Sam Giancana sparked suspicion and unease, leading many to question how he achieved his success. While his voice and talent made him an icon, Sinatra's temper, scandals, and mafia connections earned him a reputation as one of Hollywood's most controversial and disliked figures. Number 8. Clara Bo. Clara Bo, Hollywood's original it girl, was adored by audiences but hated by the Hollywood elite and viciously targeted by tabloids. Bo embodied youth, freedom, and modernity during the 1920s, but her unconventional lifestyle made her a magnet for scandal. Unlike other actresses of her time, Clara embraced her carefree personality, openly enjoying parties, which led to accusations of promiscuity and excessive drinking. Gossip magazines, eager for headlines, spread fabricated stories about her wild behavior. One of the most damaging rumors alleged she had relationships with the entire University of Southern California football team, which she vehemently denied. The press and moral gatekeepers of the era found her independence threatening, unfairly branding her as immoral. These false scandals deeply hurt her reputation. Bo's struggles were worsened by exploitation from those closest to her. Her father, a man with questionable morals, allegedly abused her and mismanaged her finances. Her managers and handlers also took advantage of her trust, leaving her financially unstable despite her success. Hollywood's rigid moral standards clashed with Clara's carefree and vibrant image, painting her as an outsider in an industry that demanded conformity. Bo's mental health deteriorated under the constant scrutiny, and by the 1930s, she retreated from public life. While fans loved her for being genuine and free-spirited, the industry and media turned on her, cementing Clara Bo's status as one of the most hated and misunderstood stars of her time. Number 9. Charlie Chaplin. Charlie Chaplin was a cinematic genius, but his personal scandals and political views made him one of the most hated figures in classic Hollywood. While he gave the world the iconic Tramp, Chaplin's relationships with underage women outraged the public and cast a shadow over his legacy. The most controversial case came in 1924, when Chaplin married 16-year-old Lita Gray at the age of 35. Lita was pregnant, and to avoid a legal scandal, Chaplin agreed to the marriage. Their messy and very public divorce later exposed sordid details, with Lita accusing Chaplin of controlling and cruel behavior. The press amplified these claims, and audiences began to question the man behind the comedic genius. During the Red Scare in the 1950s, Chaplin's left-leaning political views further alienated him. His outspoken criticism of capitalism and support for workers' rights led to accusations of being a communist sympathizer. The U.S. government revoked his re-entry visa in 1952 while he was traveling in Europe, forcing him into exile. For many, Chaplin became a symbol of Hollywood's moral and political divides. On set, Chaplin's perfectionism was infamous. He demanded countless retakes and was known for micromanaging every detail of his films. While his precision led to masterpieces, it frustrated co-stars and crews who found his demands exhausting. Chaplin's brilliance as a filmmaker remains unquestionable, but his personal scandals and divisive politics made him a polarizing and despised figure in classic Hollywood. Number 10. Elizabeth Taylor. Elizabeth Taylor was as much a magnet for scandal as she was for admiration. Her 8 marriages and tumultuous love life created a firestorm of public criticism, making her one of the most controversial figures of her time. What really turned the tide of public opinion against her, however, was her highly publicized affair with Eddie Fisher. In the late 1950s, Taylor was grieving the tragic loss of her third husband, producer Mike Todd, who died in a plane crash. During this period of mourning, she became close to Eddie Fisher, a singer who was also married to America's sweetheart, Debbie Reynolds. Reynolds and Taylor had once been close friends, but when Fisher left Reynolds to marry Taylor in 1959, the public turned on Elizabeth. The scandal dominated headlines and enraged fans who saw Taylor as a homewrecker. In the eyes of many, her actions violated the moral expectations of the time, and she was vilified as a woman who betrayed a friend and broke up a family. The Vatican even condemned her relationship with Fisher as erotic vagrancy. Taylor's larger-than-life persona extended beyond her romantic entanglements. She had a lavish lifestyle, known for her love of extravagant jewelry, fur coats, and opulent living. Taylor famously said, "Big girls need big diamonds," and she lived up to it. Her collection of rare and expensive jewels, including the Taylor Burton diamond, drew public scorn. In an era when modesty was prized, her unapologetic indulgence in wealth was seen as excessive and distasteful by many. The media frenzy surrounding her personal life often overshadowed her incredible talent as an actress. Newspapers and tabloids fixated on her marriages, affairs, and lifestyle, rather than her achievements on screen. Her passionate but stormy romance with Richard Burton, which began while both were married to other people, only intensified the backlash. Their affair was one of the most sensationalized Hollywood scandals of the 1960s, fueling a narrative that Taylor thrived on drama and controversy. Burton and Taylor divorced and remarried, further cementing her reputation as unpredictable and scandal-prone. Number 11. Humphrey Bogart. Humphrey Bogart is remembered as one of the greatest actors of Hollywood's golden age, but his blunt personality, heavy drinking, and frequent clashes with colleagues earned him a reputation for being difficult. Known for roles in Casablanca and The Maltese Falcon, Bogart's off-screen behavior often mirrored the tough, cynical characters he portrayed. On set, Bogart's sharp tongue and refusal to mince words caused friction. He often challenged directors, questioned decisions, and clashed with co-stars. For example, during the filming of The African Queen, Bogart's drinking habits irritated co-star Katharine Hepburn, who later described him as rough around the edges. His behavior could be abrasive, and while some admired his professionalism, others found him confrontational and hard to work with. Bogart's hard-drinking lifestyle also added to his reputation. He was known to spend nights drinking heavily, which sometimes affected his punctuality and performance. Off-screen, Bogart didn't shy away from speaking his mind, even when it alienated colleagues. His bluntness and sarcasm were often misunderstood as arrogance. However, despite his abrasive nature, many who worked with Bogart acknowledged his dedication to his craft. Director John Huston, who frequently collaborated with him, once remarked that while Bogart could be difficult, he delivered performances that made it worth the struggle. Bogart's tough personality and drinking habits created a love-hate dynamic in Hollywood, with admirers respecting his talent, but detractors resenting his unfiltered and confrontational demeanor. Number 12. Mickey Rooney. Mickey Rooney was once America's boy next door, a beloved child star in the Andy Hardy films, but his personal scandals and abrasive personality ultimately made him one of the most hated figures in Hollywood. Rooney's off-screen life was riddled with controversy. He was married 8 times, with each marriage ending in divorce, scandal, or public fights. His infidelity and inability to maintain relationships clashed with his wholesome image. Rooney himself admitted that his love life was chaotic, stating, "I was a man with too many wives." His string of failed marriages drew ridicule from the media and alienated fans. Financial troubles further tarnished his image. Despite earning millions, Rooney filed for bankruptcy in 1962, blaming others for mismanaging his wealth. He accused family members, managers, and agents of exploitation, which painted him irresponsible and out of control. Rooney's bombastic personality and public outbursts also made him difficult to work with. Co-stars and directors often found him abrasive and unkind. He had a habit of making derogatory remarks, tearing people down, and clashing with colleagues. Actress Ava Gardner, one of his ex-wives, described Rooney as a man who wasn't as innocent as he looked, reflecting the sharp contrast between his public persona and private behavior. While Rooney's talent was undeniable, his scandals, failed marriages, and abrasive personality destroyed his reputation, turning him into a symbol of Hollywood's darker side. Number 13. Shelly Winters. Shelly Winters was undeniably a talented actress, known for her roles in A Place in the Sun, The Diary of Anne Frank, and A Patch of Blue, earning 2 Academy Awards during her illustrious career. However, her talent was often overshadowed by her difficult personality and outspoken nature, which made her one of the most disliked stars in Hollywood. Shelley had a big, bold personality that often clashed with co-stars and directors. She didn't shy away from voicing her opinions, which many found abrasive and hurtful. One of her most notable fallouts was with Marilyn Monroe. While the two began as friends, their relationship soured when Shelley publicly remarked that Marilyn was the most insecure person she had ever met. This statement came across as unnecessarily harsh and added to Shelley's reputation for being mean-spirited. On set, Shelley was notoriously demanding and wanted things done her way, which frustrated directors and colleagues alike. Her refusal to hold back often caused tension, and her loud, unapologetic demeanor rubbed many the wrong way. Crews found her exhausting to deal with, and co-stars often dreaded working alongside her. Despite her undeniable talent and numerous accolades, Shelley Winters' unwillingness to filter her thoughts and her confrontational attitude left her with many enemies in Hollywood. While her boldness earned her respect from some, it made it hard for others to like her, solidifying her reputation as one of Hollywood's most difficult and polarizing figures. Number 14. Peter Sellers. Peter Sellers was a comedic genius, celebrated for his brilliant performances in the Pink Panther series and Dr. Strangelove, where he showcased his unique ability to play multiple characters in a single film. However, behind laughter and on-screen brilliance, Sellers was widely known as one of Hollywood's most difficult and unpredictable figures, earning him a reputation as a nightmare to work with. On set, Sellers's behavior was notoriously moody and erratic. He was prone to sudden outbursts and arguments with directors, co-stars, and crew members. If something didn't go his way, he would storm off the set, causing delays and frustration for everyone involved. His unpredictability made him unreliable, and some directors refused to work with him more than once. Blake Edwards, the director of the Pink Panther series, described Sellers as both a genius and impossible to deal with, highlighting the stark contrast between his talent and his temperament. Their clashes were legendary, with Edwards admitting that Sellers' brilliance came at the cost of an often unbearable personality. Sellers' personal life was equally chaotic. Married 4 times, his relationships were filled with turmoil. His ex-wives frequently spoke about his emotional abuse and erratic behavior, painting him as a deeply troubled man behind closed doors. His inability to maintain stable relationships further damaged his public image. Number 15. Robert Blake. Robert Blake was a talented actor, known for In Cold Blood and the TV series Beretta, but his life spiraled into darkness, making him one of Hollywood's most hated figures. In 2001, Blake was accused of murdering his wife, Bonnie Lee Backley, whose troubled past and rocky relationship with Blake only fueled the scandal. Bonnie was shot outside a restaurant, and Blake was arrested soon after. The trial became a media sensation, with many convinced of his guilt. Although Blake was eventually acquitted, his cold, unremorseful demeanor during the proceedings turned public opinion sharply against him. Even before the trial, Blake's reputation was already tarnished. He was infamous for his bad temper and confrontational nature, frequently clashing with directors and co-stars. Stories of his unpredictable outbursts on set made him a liability in the industry. Many found him impossible to work with, and his combative personality left him with few allies. Blake's legal troubles sealed his fate. What once appeared to be a successful career was overshadowed by the controversy and lingering suspicion surrounding his wife's death. Number 16. Ryan O'Neal. Ryan O'Neal was a rising star in the 1970s and 1980s, celebrated for films like Love Story and Paper Moon, but his off-screen behavior turned him into one of Hollywood's most disliked figures. Known for his bad temper, O'Neal frequently got into fights and had a strained relationship with his children, particularly his daughter, Tatum ONeal. Tatum later revealed that Ryan was abusive, and their tumultuous bond played out in the public eye, tarnishing his image as the charming leading man. Ryan's issues weren't limited to family. He had well-documented clashes with co-stars and colleagues. During Love Story, he had a significant conflict with Ali MacGraw, and his long-term relationship with Farrah Fawcett was equally troubled, marked by public disputes. These incidents earned him a reputation for being combative and difficult to work with. Adding to his troubles, O'Neal's personal life was filled with scandals. He was arrested multiple times, including for drug possession, which further damaged his reputation. Instead of being seen as the charismatic actor he portrayed on screen, Ryan O'Neal was viewed as a man whose temper, scandals, and family dysfunction overshadowed his career. Number 17. Faye Dunaway. Faye Dunaway's acting talent earned her praise for iconic roles in Bonnie and Clyde, Chinatown, and Network. But her demanding personality made her one of Hollywood's most disliked stars. On set, Dunaway had a reputation for being a perfectionist, with high expectations that often created tension. She frequently clashed with directors and co-stars, refusing to compromise and insisting on doing things her way. One of the most infamous stories about Faye comes from the set of Mommy Dearest, where she played Joan Crawford. Dunaway reportedly became so absorbed in the role that her behavior turned hostile, throwing tantrums and making excessive demands. Crew members described her as difficult, and headlines at the time painted a picture of an actress out of control. Her clashes extended beyond the set. Dunaway's long-running feud with director Roman Palansky, who directed her in Chinatown, was highly publicized. They argued throughout filming, and Dunaway later criticized Palansky in interviews, further solidifying her contentious reputation. Number 18, Claus Kinsky. Claus Kinsky was a gifted but explosively difficult actor, known for intense performances in Aguirre, The Wrath of God, and Nosferatu the Vampire. Despite his immense talent, Kinsky's violent temper and erratic behavior made him despised both on and off set. He was infamous for his raging outbursts, often screaming at directors, crew members, and co-stars. His most notable clashes were with director Werner Herzog, with whom he worked on several films. Their relationship was so volatile that Herzog once admitted he had considered hiring a hitman to deal with Kinsky. On set, Kinsky's arrogance was equally unbearable. He believed himself superior to those around him, frequently belittling colleagues and creating a toxic work environment. Off-screen, Kinsky's personal life was even more troubling. His daughter, Pola Kinsky, wrote a book accusing him of years of abuse, further staining his legacy. These shocking revelations turned the public against him, revealing a deeply disturbed man beneath his performances. Number 19, Tatum ONeal. Tatum ONeal became an overnight sensation when she won an Academy Award for her role in Paper Moon at just 10 years old, becoming the youngest person to ever win an Oscar. While her talent was undeniable, her personal and professional life spiraled into turmoil, leaving her with a tarnished reputation in Hollywood. The most publicized issue was her troubled relationship with her father, actor Ryan O'Neal. Their bond, marked by public fights and allegations of abuse, was widely covered in the media. Tatum accused her father of being physically and emotionally abusive, painting a picture of a dysfunctional family that fascinated and alienated the public. Their broken dynamic became fodder for tabloids, which cast Tatum as a product of Hollywood's darkest family troubles. Compounding her struggles was Tatum's battle with drug addiction. She was arrested multiple times for drug-related offenses, and her substance abuse deeply affected her reputation. Directors and producers saw her as unreliable and hesitant to cast her in major roles. Her behavior on set was reportedly erratic, and she gained a reputation for being difficult to work with, clashing with co-stars and directors. Despite her early promise, Tatum ONeal's addiction, family dysfunction, and on-set troubles overshadowed her talent. While audiences once viewed her as a Hollywood prodigy, her controversies left her as a divisive and often disliked figure in the industry. Number 20, John Wayne. John Wayne, Hollywood's quintessential tough guy, was celebrated for his roles in classic westerns like Stagecoach and True Grit. He became a symbol of masculinity, patriotism, and American ideals. Yet despite his iconic status, Wayne's polarizing views and behavior made him one of the most controversial figures of his era. Wayne's outspoken conservative politics did not sit well with everyone. His support for the Vietnam War during a period of intense anti-war sentiment alienated many Americans, especially younger audiences. However, it was his racist and inflammatory comments that drew the most condemnation. In a 1971 Playboy interview, Wayne expressed support for white supremacy and made disparaging remarks about African Americans and Native Americans, claiming he didn't believe in giving responsibility and authority to irresponsible people. His comments sparked outrage, with many labeling him as an unapologetic racist. Wayne's on-screen persona as a rugged hero clashed with his off-screen arrogance and insensitivity. His portrayal of Native Americans in his films, often as antagonists or savages, further fueled criticism. Many saw Wayne as embodying outdated values that ignored the shifting social and cultural landscape of the 1960s and 1970s. Even within Hollywood, Wayne's tough guy bravado caused conflicts. He had a strained relationship with director Howard Hawks, with whom he worked on multiple films, as creative differences and personality clashes marred their collaborations. While Wayne retained a loyal fan base, his divisive persona and controversial remarks made him a symbol of Hollywood's resistance to progress, turning him into a hated figure for many. Number 21, Joan Collins. Joan Collins, known for her glamorous presence and her iconic role as Alexis Carrington in the hit TV series Dynasty, was as polarizing off-screen as her character was on-screen. Her reputation as a diva made her both admired and disliked, earning her a spot among Hollywood's most controversial figures. On set, Collins had a reputation for being difficult to work with. She was often described as demanding, prone to temper tantrums, and unafraid to clash with directors or co-stars. Her on-set rivalry with Linda Evans, who played her on-screen nemesis Crystal Carrington, became legendary. Their conflicts often spilled into the tabloids, fueling gossip about Collins's temperament. In addition to her professional behavior, Collins's personal life added to her notoriety. She was married multiple times, and her relationships, filled with drama, were endlessly scrutinized by tabloids. Her penchant for glamour and her outspoken nature made her an easy target for gossip, which often overshadowed her acting achievements. While some fans admired Joan Collins for her beauty, talent, and unapologetic attitude, others criticized her for her drama-filled persona and workplace clashes. Her role in Dynasty may have solidified her stardom, but it also cemented her image as a Hollywood diva with a flair for controversy. Number 22. Jane Fonda. Jane Fonda, a talented actress known for films like Clute and Coming Home, became one of Hollywood's most divisive figures due to her outspoken political activism. Fonda's opposition to the Vietnam War and her infamous trip to North Vietnam in 1972 earned her the nickname Hanoi Jane, a label that would haunt her for decades. During her visit, Fonda was photographed sitting on a North Vietnamese anti-aircraft gun, a move seen as deeply unpatriotic and offensive to American soldiers. The image enraged many Americans, especially veterans and military families, who viewed her actions as a betrayal. For her critics, Fonda's activism crossed a line, and calls to boycott her films became widespread. Beyond politics, Fonda's workout videos in the 1980s also drew criticism. While immensely popular, some argued they promoted unrealistic beauty standards and fueled the obsession with thinness. Fonda's polished public persona and entrepreneurial success contrasted sharply with the backlash she received for her earlier activism. Number 23. Lana Turner. Lana Turner was a Hollywood icon known for films like The Postman Always Rings Twice. She became as famous for her off-screen scandals as her on-screen talent. Her most notorious controversy was the 1958 murder of her abusive boyfriend, Johnny Stompanato, a known mobster. During a violent altercation, Turner's teenage daughter, Cheryl Crane, stabbed Stompanato to protect her mother. Though ruled justifiable homicide, the incident dominated headlines and tarnished Turner's image, with many questioning her personal judgment. Turner's personal life was equally chaotic, marked by 7 failed marriages and high-profile affairs that fueled gossip columns and public disdain. Hollywood audiences, who valued moral stability, saw her turbulent love life as scandalous. On set, Turner developed a reputation as a demanding diva, often clashing with directors and co-stars over her perfectionist attitude. This behavior made her difficult to work with, despite her undeniable talent. Number 24. Howard Hughes. No doubt Howard Hughes was a visionary filmmaker, aviation pioneer, and one of the wealthiest men of his time. Despite his undeniable genius and groundbreaking contributions to film, many hated him. Hughes was known for demanding absolute control over every aspect of his films, which created endless conflicts with directors, actors, and studios. He produced epic films like Hell's Angels and The Outlaw, but his perfectionism often came at a cost. Hughes would obsess over minute details, repeatedly reshooting scenes and re-editing projects for years, delaying releases and inflating budgets. For example, The Outlaw was stalled for years as Hughes micromanaged everything from the script to the promotion. This behavior made him frustrated to work with and earned him the ire of many in the industry. Hughes's personal life was equally tumultuous. He was notorious for his relationships with high-profile actresses like Katharine Hepburn, Ava Gardner, and Lana Turner. But his treatment of these women often raised eyebrows. Hughes had a habit of becoming obsessively possessive in his relationships. He monitored the movements of his romantic partners, sometimes hiring private investigators to follow them, and went to extreme lengths to maintain control. By the end of his life, Hughes had become a recluse, remembered more for his eccentricities than his innovations. While his contributions to aviation and filmmaking were groundbreaking, His obsessive tendencies, controlling behavior, and unpredictable personality alienated those around him. Number 25. Warren Beatty. The Hollywood leading man known for Bonnie and Clyde, Shampoo and Heaven Can Wait. Warren Beatty was as controversial off-screen as he was celebrated on-screen. His reputation as a womanizer overshadowed his professional achievements. Linked to high-profile actresses and models like Natalie Wood, Diane Keaton, and Madonna, Beatty's numerous romantic relationships created an image of a playboy, which intrigued yet alienated the public. On set, Beatty was notorious for being demanding and controlling. His perfectionism often led to clashes with directors and co-stars, causing production delays. The film Reds, which he directed and starred in, was famously over budget and difficult to complete due to his meticulous nature. Beatty's political activism further polarized opinions. Outspoken about his liberal views and active in political campaigns, he was admired by some for his convictions, but seen by others as overly self-righteous and preachy. Despite receiving critical acclaim, including an Oscar for directing Reds, Warren Beatty's off-screen persona, marked by his romantic escapades, professional perfectionism, and outspoken politics, made him a divisive figure in Hollywood. While his contributions to film are undeniable, his controversial behavior left audiences and colleagues with mixed opinions.